Welcome back to the program. A society that refuses to procreate will no longer be a society in a very short amount of time, pretty much about 3 to 4 generations on average. If you look at the birth replacement rate in Europe, in most of the countries in Europe, it's atrocious. Okay, we're talking 1.1 to 1.2 to 1.3 in Germany, in France, in Sweden, in Spain, in other areas and other countries in the UK. Of course, that one's really bad as well. And the problem with that is, how do you replace the native-born people? Well, I think we know what Europe has been doing. They have been bringing in people from outside of Europe, and most of those people do not agree with and or have the same type of religious background and ideology as the people that they are now replacing. And so then you have no-go zones, and you have Sharia courts, and you have hundreds and thousands of mosques all over these countries. And the native people are still stuck on stupid. And they're believing in birth control, they're believing in pro-choice, not having children. They see children not as a gift from God. They see children as some type of nuisance or annoyance or something that drags them down. And that is the wrong way to think. And it doesn't just happen in Europe. It's happening in Australia. It's happening in New Zealand. It's happening in other areas around the entire world. South Korea is an absolute disaster. You have to have a 1.8 at a minimum, 1.8 birth rate replacement. You have to. If you don't have that, then you're going to not be in existence in the next couple of generations. America last year had its worst. It was not 1.8. And the problem is that for many years, it has been 1.8, sometimes even a little bit more. But where are those people coming from? They're not American born. They're illegal aliens. And so we are running into the same types of issues and problems that Europe is and other parts of the world. So President Trump understands this. And not just him. Elon Musk understands it. He's got 14 of them himself, trying to do the best he can to procreate as well. But really, President Trump gets it, okay? And if you look at other countries around the world, for instance, China, they cut their birth replacement rate, right? For many, many years, they did not allow anyone to have more than one child. And if it was a child, it was going to be a boy, right? More than anything else. And so they now are stuck in a situation with way more males than there are females to procreate with. And so they are, in the next couple of generations, basically as the old people die in China, they're going to have a problem. And India is going to surpass them if they haven't already. India doesn't have those issues, okay? And India is a close ally of ours, which is good. But we, Americans, we need to start hitting the sheets, okay? We need to start having more children. And with more children, gets a bigger society. And of course, with a bigger society, we grow and we prosper. And we need more people in our country, of course. And so President Trump understands this. And so he is now looking at offering a, quote, $5,000 baby bonus for women to have children. Pretty interesting. Now, not just him, Orban in, was it Austria, I think it was, or whatever, Hungary, I think it is. He did the same thing. He did money back for people to have more children. So again, this is something that some people and some leaders around the world are taking this serious, and thankfully President Trump is doing the same. The Trump administration is exploring ways to address America's demographic crisis. According to a report from the New York Slimes, President Trump and his aides are considering a range of proposals designed to encourage families to have more children. One idea involves reserving 30% of Fulbright scholarships, a prestigious government-funded international fellowship, for applicants who are married or have children. Another proposal would give American mothers a $5,000 payment following childbirth. A third proposal would fund programs to educate women on reproductive health and fertility awareness, including how to better understand ovulation and conception timing. The Times notes that figures like Vice President J.D. Vance and President Trump advisor Elon Musk support these initiatives, and these ideas and others are emerging from a movement concerned with declining birth rates that has been gaining steam for many years and now finally has allies in the U.S. administration, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Elon Musk. Public policy experts and advocates of boosting the birth rate have been meeting with White House officials, sometimes handing over written proposals on ways to help and convince women to have more children, according to 4 people who have been part of these meetings who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss private conversations. Administration officials have not indicated what ideas, if any, they might ultimately embrace, but advocates expressed confidence that fertility issues will become a prominent piece of the Trump agenda, noting that President Trump has called for a, quote, baby boom, and pointing to the symbolic power of seeing Mr. Vance and other top officials attend public events with their children. America's demographics crisis is defined by failing birth rates, an aging population, and increasing dependence on mass immigration to sustain the workforce and fill low-paying wage jobs. With the fertility rate at around 1.6, remember, you have to have 1.8. Now, a lot of the people that are coming into Europe and Muslims that are coming in all around the world and here in the United States, they're running 2.5 to 2.8 per household. They've got no problem having, children. But yet here, because of our liberal policies, because women think that they should be, quote, strapped down with a child, which is a horrible thing to even think, and then they look at it and they say, well, don't you tell me what to do with my body. Okay, fair enough. Do you want to live or do you want to die? Because if we don't continue to reproduce, we're not going to be here anymore, okay? So how far and how long do we want to live? Because honestly, that's the reality here. And it's liberal policies, it's pro-choice, it's abortion, it's killing 70 million potential future Americans. Gone since 1971. Gone. Never had a chance because they were murdered. Just imagine if we didn't have this elitist, self-centered arrogance about all this, and we were allowed to have those children, and those children prospered. What would America look like today? Could you even imagine? And so I'm glad that President Trump and Elon Musk and others are serious about this. So at the same time, American states are beginning to explore their own family-centered initiatives. Suggestions for a potential shift towards a more fertile, conscious national policy landscape ensues. This is wonderful. This is a wonderful development. Now, liberal women are going to go, don't you tell me what I can do and this and that. Well, look, the bottom line is it ain't about you, okay? It's about all of us. It's about our survival. It's about getting that birth replacement rate well over 1.8. Okay? We ought to be shooting for 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. Okay? That's what we should be shooting for. And who knows? Hopefully we'll get there. It's probably going to take a long time, but they're at least taking the initiatives to get it started. So God bless them for doing that. Now, the other thing was really good news was this. We know, and I've been on her show, as a matter of fact, about a month before they savagely threw a Gold Star mother in prison in Colorado because of the corrupt judges and prosecutors there. The Department of Justice, I announced a couple months ago, has decided to enjoin themselves in this case. And they have filed a petition for and supporting the release of Tina Peters. Now, at this point right now, nothing is imminent, but today, the state of Colorado failed, okay? They failed to dismiss the Department of Justice inquiry about Tina Peters. So imagine that. This is how radical, extreme, left-leaning these people are in Colorado. You've got a Gold Star mother in her 70s, a sweet, innocent, patriotic woman that they have thrown in jail for 9 years. Why? Because she dared to take evidence of your cheating? That's why? They even then filed an appeal against the Department of Justice trying to get her out of jail. But thankfully, it failed. Okay? So, here's the story. The Colorado deep state, let's call it what it is, in conjunction with the globalists, were unsuccessful in dismissing the Department of Justice statement of interest against Tina Peters. This alone was a huge victory for justice leading up to today, and the insurgent Marxist Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser, on behalf of his globalist handlers, he did and he could not prevent the case from even being heard. He even attempted to utilize a last-minute third-grade excuse reminiscent of somebody ate my homework, okay? The judge today heard both sides, and instead of ruling in favor of the deep state, as it usually does, especially in Colorado, to silence and keep jailed Tina Peters, they have now decided at this point that they're going to continue to have a hearing in about a week or so for both sides to gather and present more evidence for this consideration. At the heart of the hearing today is the following question posed by the Department of Justice. Was the case oriented more towards inflicting political pain than towards pursuing actual justice or a legitimate governmental objective? This is in alignment with an Executive Order 14147 ending the weaponization of the federal government January 20th, 2025. So some of these cases, Tina Peters, maybe some others that are out there, that they have gone after people for weaponization. I think President Trump would have a soft spot for that, would he not? They are now going to enjoin themselves, meaning that they are going to cut in because they're the Department of Justice and they're allowed to, and they're going to fight for people that have been victimized by the 2-tier justice system, the 10-tier justice system, the million-tier justice system, the trillion-tier justice system. So let's continue to pray that these judges do the right thing, allow this hearing, which I'm sure they will, present the evidence, clearly show that this was a politically motivated attack against this Gold Star mother, and release her from jail. She's in her 70s, for goodness sakes. So let's hope that that ends up happening. More good news for Christians. Pam Bondi officially has launched the Eradicating Anti-Christian Bias Task Force ordered by President Trump. So, all these people that go after Christians and things like that, no more. Attorney General Pam Bondi convened the inaugural meeting of the Eradicating Anti-Christian Bias Task Force at the Department of Justice on Tuesday. This initiative was established by President Donald Trump through a February executive order which aims to identify and eliminate anti-Christian discrimination within federal agencies. The previous administration engaged in an egregious pattern of targeting peaceful Christians while ignoring violent anti-Christian offenses. The Biden Department of Justice sought to squelch faith in the public square by bringing federal criminal charges and obtaining numerous cases of multi-year prison sentences against nearly 24 peaceful pro-life Christians for praying and demonstrating outside of abortion facilities. Those convicted included a Catholic priest and a 75-year-old grandmother, as well as an 87-year-old woman and a father of 11 children who were arrested 18 months after praying and singing outside an abortion facility in Tennessee. As part of these politically motivated prosecutions by the Biden administration, they will now hopefully be rectified with justice. At the same time, Catholic churches, charities, and pro-life centers sought justice for violence, theft, and arson perpetrated against them, which the Biden Department of Justice completely ignored. So in other words, if you're any other person out there, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Hindu, if you're, atheist, doesn't matter. If something happens to you, the Biden regime, the Autopen regime, was right there to protect you. But God forbid you were a Christian or you were a believer. No, they wouldn't care if you were murdered in the streets. Okay? That's the reality. Not anymore, thank God. In 2023, a Federal Bureau of Investigation memorandum asserted that radical traditionalist Catholics were the real root of America's problems. They were, quote, domestic terrorist threats, and suggested infiltrating Catholic churches as, quote, threat mitigation. Unbelievable. Thank God we don't have to deal with this craziness anymore. Okay, I'm going to end with this because this is really bothering me a lot. So, before Andy Biggs decided to run for governor, Karen, her name is appropriate by the way, Taylor Robeson, who tried to run against Kari Lake and was blown out in the primaries in 2022, is not a conservative at all, okay? She's a billionaire. She's a leftist. I'll go through that here in just a second. But President Trump endorsed her. Endorsed her before, of course, Andy Biggs was in the race. Now, I am not happy with what President Trump has done here, because President Trump is trying to play both sides. He will not pick a candidate. So instead, what does he do? He throws his support behind, quote, both. Okay? Ridiculous. Honestly. So, we're going to go through how bad Karen Robeson Taylor actually is. But here's what he wrote. I like Karen Taylor Robeson of Arizona a lot. And when she asked me to endorse her, with nobody else running, I did endorse her and was happy to do so. However, when Andy Biggs decided to run for governor quite unexpectedly, I now had a problem. I had two fantastic candidates. No, you have one fantastic candidate, and someone who, I will remind you, President Trump, has been fighting at your side for the first 4 years, the 4 years that they stole from you, and today. Okay? So where's your loyalty? So then he says, I have a problem. Two fantastic candidates, two terrific people, two wonderful champions, and it's therefore my great honor to give my complete and total endorsement to both candidates. Either one will not let you down. Oh, really? Either one will not let you down, huh? That's what President Trump is saying? Okay, let's discuss that. Let's discuss that a little bit, shall we? Okay, so Karen Robeson, or Taylor Robeson, okay, is pro-abortion, while on the Arizona Board of Regents, ABOR, Robeson approved state spending to hire a lobbyist to work against SB 1457, which outlawed abortions solely based on genetic abnormalities. Every Republican in the state House and Senate voted to approve this vital legislation, and the governor signed it into law. She loves tuition hikes and especially loves giving tuition to, yes, illegal aliens. Karen implemented over 70 tuition fee increases on Arizona students while simultaneously fighting to give illegal aliens discounted tuition. She's also a Democrat fundraiser. In 2015, Robeson bundled money for Arizona's AOC, also known as Ruben Gallego, the illegitimate senator from Arizona. Gallego is one of the most liberal politicians in our state, and Karen was one of his top donors. Illegal immigrant activist. Robeson voted multiple times to give discounted university tuition rates to illegal immigrant students. She claims illegal immigration is not a top issue for Arizona. Talk about being out of touch. Robeson also supports a pathway to citizenship, and she believes that illegal immigrants should not pay a fine for staying here. She's also anti-Second Amendment. Robeson voted to eliminate Second Amendment rights from students on university-owned properties, which extends well beyond typical campuses. She then said this: cancel culture is just as bad on the right as it is on the left. Oh, really? Really, Karen? Who on the left has ever been canceled? Huh? You idiot? No one. Anti-American. Direct quote about the BLM movement in 2021. Robeson said this about our country. Quote, "We've got a history none of us are that proud of." End quote. And of course, she's a woke Karen. In response to the BLM violence, Karen approved a new academic program, Bachelors of Art, Culture, and Democracy. Karen even supports transgendered bathrooms. She allows men into the girls' bathroom at her Colorado Sporting's arena. And she's very wealthy, by the way, multi-billionaire. She basically married some ticking time bomb in his 90s that is drooling and crapping all over himself, probably. And she's about 30 years his junior. And he's loaded, and she's just either going to feed him a poison hot dog or just wait. Pro-mask and vax mandate. Karen forced ASU students to wear masks in 115-degree heat and made sure that they were forced to take the experimental mRNA vaccine jab, death jab, whatever thing you want to call it. So no, President Trump, Andy Biggs is the only conservative in the race. And we here in Arizona are going to work our asses off to make sure that not only he wins that nomination, which I believe he will, but he will become the next governor of this great state of Arizona. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.